The decline of the Indus civilization, the Vedic Age, and the rise of the Mahajanapadas. For nearly 7 centuries, the cities of the Indus Valley Civilization stood among the greatest urban centers on Earth. Their streets were carefully planned. Their drainage systems were unmatched. Their merchants traded with distant civilizations. Their artisans produced works of remarkable beauty. But sometime after 1900 BCE, this magnificent civilization began to change. The great cities slowly emptied. Trade declined. Public buildings were abandoned. The carefully maintained streets gradually fell into disrepair. Within a few centuries, one of humanity's greatest civilizations had largely disappeared. For generations, historians believed that this civilization had been destroyed by invading armies. Today, however, archaeological evidence paints a far more complex picture. The decline of the Indus Valley Civilization. One of the greatest mysteries in archaeology is why the Harappan civilization declined. Unlike many ancient civilizations, there is no clear evidence of widespread warfare or a single catastrophic event. Instead, scholars now believe that several factors worked together over many centuries. One of the most important appears to have been environmental change. The Indus civilization depended heavily on rivers. Archaeological and geological studies suggest that several river systems gradually changed their courses. The Ghaggar-Hakra River, which many researchers associate with the ancient Sarasvati described in later Vedic literature, appears to have become increasingly seasonal due to tectonic shifts and changing monsoon patterns. While the identification of the Vedic Sarasvati with the Ghaggar-Hakra remains debated, there is broad agreement that significant hydrological changes affected settlements in this region. Without dependable water supplies, agriculture became increasingly difficult. Climate studies also indicate that the Indian monsoon weakened around this period. Reduced rainfall affected crop production across northwestern South Asia. Agricultural surpluses diminished. Food shortages may have forced many communities to abandon large cities in favor of smaller rural settlements. Trade also suffered. For centuries, Harappan merchants had exchanged goods with Mesopotamia and the Persian Gulf. As international trade declined, cities that depended upon commerce gradually lost their economic vitality. Rather than disappearing overnight, the civilization slowly transformed. Many people continued living in villages. Others migrated eastward toward the fertile plains of the Ganges. The cultural traditions of the Harappans did not vanish completely. Pottery styles, agricultural techniques, bead-making traditions, and aspects of religious symbolism survived and influenced later cultures across the subcontinent. The Indus civilization had ended, but its legacy endured. A new cultural era. As the urban centers of the Northwest declined, another important cultural transformation unfolded. Between approximately 1500 and 1200 BCE, groups speaking early Indo-Aryan languages became increasingly prominent in the northwestern Indian subcontinent. Earlier historians described this process as a sudden Aryan invasion. Modern scholarship has largely moved away from that simplistic model. Current evidence from archaeology, linguistics, and genetics suggests a far more gradual and complex process involving migration, interaction, cultural exchange, and assimilation, rather than the destruction of cities by invading armies. These Indo-Aryan-speaking communities encountered populations already living in Punjab. Over generations, cultures blended, languages evolved, religious ideas developed. Together, they laid the foundations of what historians call the Vedic civilization. Punjab, the land of the 7 rivers. The earliest Vedic texts repeatedly celebrate a region known as Sapta Sindhu, the land of 7 rivers. Most scholars identify this region with ancient Punjab and adjoining northwestern India. The rivers mentioned include the Indus and several of its tributaries, the Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, and Sutlej, as well as the Sarasvati, whose exact identification remains debated. To the Vedic people, these rivers were more than waterways. They were sacred. They sustained agriculture, supported pastoral life, and inspired religious hymns. The oldest of the Vedic texts, the Rigveda, was composed largely in this region. Many of its hymns praise the mighty Indus River, describing it as powerful, life-giving, and majestic. For this reason, Punjab occupies a central place in the earliest literary traditions of ancient India. Life. During the early Vedic Age. The early Vedic people were primarily pastoralists. Cattle represented the principal measure of wealth. A person's prosperity was often judged not by the amount of land he owned, but by the size of his herds. Horses also held special importance. They transformed transportation, warfare, and communication. Horse-drawn chariots became symbols of military prestige and royal authority. Yet agriculture gradually assumed greater importance. Communities cultivated barley, and later wheat and rice in suitable regions. Permanent villages expanded throughout Punjab. Homes were generally constructed from wood, reeds, and clay rather than baked brick. Society remained comparatively simple. Large urban centers like Harappa no longer existed. Instead, villages became the heart of political, economic, and religious life. Society and religion. Early Vedic society was organized around tribes known as janas. Each jana was led by a rajan, or chief. However, the rajan was not an absolute monarch. Important decisions were often discussed in tribal assemblies known as the Sabha and the Samiti, indicating that governance involved consultation alongside hereditary leadership. Religion centered upon natural forces. The people worshipped deities such as Indra, the god of storms and victory; Agni, the sacred fire; Varuna, guardian of cosmic order; and Soma, associated with ritual and inspiration. Sacrificial ceremonies called yajnas became central to religious life. Unlike later Hindu temple worship, there were no permanent temples or idols. Ritual fires served as the primary focus of worship. The Vedic hymns, preserved orally with astonishing precision for centuries before being written down, remain among the oldest surviving literary works in any Indo-European language. The later Vedic Age. Between 1000 and 600 BCE, important social and political changes transformed northern India. Iron tools became increasingly common. Forests were cleared more efficiently. Agricultural production expanded dramatically. Population increased. Villages grew larger. Powerful chiefs gradually evolved into hereditary kings. The authority of the Rajan expanded beyond tribal leadership into territorial kingship. Society also became more structured. The fourfold Varna system, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, became more clearly defined in later Vedic literature, though its practical application varied across regions and evolved over time. Economic specialization increased. Merchants, artisans, blacksmiths, potters, carpenters, and traders contributed to increasingly complex local economies. The foundations of classical Indian civilization were steadily taking shape. The rise of the Mahajanapadas. By around 600 BCE, northern India entered a new political era. Small tribal territories gave way to larger and more organized states known as the Mahajanapadas, meaning great realms. Ancient Buddhist and Jain texts mention 16 Mahajanapadas, although their size and power varied considerably. Several of these states lay within or near the greater Punjab region. Among the most important was Gandhara, centered around present-day Peshawar and Taxila. Its strategic position made it a gateway between the Indian subcontinent, Central Asia, and the Iranian plateau. To its southeast lay Cambodia, another important frontier kingdom known for its skilled horsemen and trade connections with Central Asia. These kingdoms prospered because they controlled major trade routes linking India with Western Asia. Merchants transported textiles, precious stones, metals, horses, spices, and luxury goods across vast distances. Ideas traveled alongside commerce. Religious beliefs, artistic traditions, languages, and technologies flowed through Punjab, making it one of the most culturally dynamic regions of the ancient world. Taxila, the jewel of ancient Punjab. Among the greatest cities of this era was Taxila, or Takshashila. Located at the crossroads of several international trade routes, Taxila became one of the most important centers of learning in the ancient world. Students traveled from distant regions to study subjects such as medicine, military science, philosophy, mathematics, grammar, astronomy, politics, and statecraft. Although later tradition associates great scholars such as Chanakya, Kautilya, Panini, and the physician Jivaka with Taxila, modern historians note that these associations derive from literary traditions compiled centuries later. Even so, there is no doubt that Taxila emerged as one of South Asia's foremost intellectual and commercial centers. Its importance would continue to grow under the Persian Empire, the Greeks, the Mauryas, and the Kushans. In many ways, Taxila became the gateway through which ideas from East and West met and enriched one another. Punjab before the great empires. By the 6th century BCE, Punjab had become one of the most strategically important regions in Asia. Its fertile plains produced abundant harvests. Its rivers sustained prosperous settlements. Its trade routes linked India with Persia, Central Asia, and beyond. Its cities attracted merchants, scholars, and travelers from distant lands. These advantages also made Punjab a prize for ambitious conquerors. Soon, a mighty empire from the west would cross the mountains and bring Punjab into the orbit of world history. The armies of the Achaemenid Persian Empire, led by kings such as Cyrus the Great and later Darius I, would extend their influence into the northwestern Indian subcontinent. For the first time, Punjab would become part of a vast imperial system stretching from the Mediterranean Sea to the Indus River. A new chapter was about to begin. Conclusion. From the first stone tools of the Sawanian people, to the farmers of Mehrgarh, from the magnificent cities of the Indus Valley Civilization, to the hymns of the Rigveda, and finally, to the kingdoms of Gandhara and Cambodia, Punjab had already experienced thousands of years of remarkable human achievement before the arrival of foreign empires. Its fertile rivers nurtured some of humanity's earliest farmers. Its cities demonstrated extraordinary engineering and urban planning. Its sacred landscapes inspired enduring religious traditions, and its strategic location made it the meeting place of civilizations. In the next episode, we will witness the arrival of the Persian Empire, the invasion of Alexander the Great, the rise of the Mauryan Empire under Chandragupta and Ashoka, the Indo-Greek kingdoms, the remarkable reign of Menander, and the emergence of the Shakas and Indo-Parthians. The story of Punjab is about to become part of world history. This script has been prepared using the consensus of modern historical scholarship, including Upinder Singh, A History of Ancient and Early Medieval India, 2008, Ramila Thapar, Early India, From the Origins to AD 1300, 2002, A. L. Basham, The Wonder That Was India, R. C. Majumdar, ed. The History and Culture of the Indian People, Vol. Setu, The Cambridge History of India, The Cambridge History of Early South Asia, The Oxford History of India, D. C. Sarkar, Select Inscriptions, Bearing on Indian History and Civilization, Gregory L. Possel, The Indus Civilization, A Contemporary Perspective. Archaeological Survey of India, ASI, excavation reports. Research on the Indus Civilization by Jonathan Mark Kenoyer, one of the world's leading Harappan archaeologists.